Tam durlabham gudham. Realizing through self-contemplation. I am not going to help you. Self-contemplation. That primal God, that primal being, that primal essence, difficult to be seen, hidden, sat in the cave of the heart, in the secret of the heart, dwelling in the deep. The wise leave behind both joy and sorrow. Joy and sorrow. Hearing this and comprehending it, a human being extracting the essence and reaching the subtle rejoices, having attained the source of joy. This abode, O Nachiketas, is now open to you. Now, I was going to continue with what we did last time. I said what I was saying, that deep down in the subconscious mind, there is the understanding that there is great joy, that there is happiness. The thing is that we think that happiness can be attained through all the satisfactions of the senses and all that we find here. The trouble is that the source is actually here, and we look for it everywhere else. If you turn around and look within, and then you find it. When that is found, all other joys and sorrows are immaterial. You will neither want it nor discard it. I mean, they're all there, but you found the source. There was a great weaver saint in India, who was a weaver, Kabir Das, in Banaras, who speaks of the musk deer. There's a small variety of deer in the Himalayas called the musk deer, M-U-S-K. Not the Tesla musk, but it's called the Kasturi Mriga, musk deer. And in a particular season in a year, musk is produced in a little sack very close to its belly button. And there's a beautiful fragrance in the air. Kabir Das said that the human being is like the musk deer, Kasturi Mriga, which when the musk is produced and there is the fragrance in the air, doesn't know the source from where the fragrance is coming. Goes looking for it everywhere, pushes its snout into thorny bushes, bleeds, but doesn't know that it is here. So this is the joys that we seek, and we keep changing the modes and materials in which we seek joy, forgetting that the essence of joy is here. Therefore, in the Upanishads and the Vedas, the supreme reality or the innermost soul, which is the all-pervading, is also called Satchidananda. Satchidananda. Here, Sat signifies the truth, which means that which is always, as opposed to that which is not but is always becoming. You get what I'm trying to say? There seems to be two kind of things in this universe. Not my quotation, Plato. One is and is never becoming. The other is not, but is ever becoming. So the essence in us is that which is not becoming anything. The other side, me, my mind, is always becoming. Hoping that by becoming, I will touch happiness. But that becoming never stops till the grave. After that, what becoming? Nothing. It's all over. So, this is Sat, the truth, the reality. In contrast with that which we think is real but is not. Because if something is real, it has to be there always real. But all the things that we say real are things which are here today and gone tomorrow. So, is there something which is always? It is not here today and gone tomorrow. The Upanishad says that is true self, which is the essence of our being. It is. So Sat. Chit. It is of the nature of consciousness. It's not an object which, at least we do not see being conscious. I personally think everything is conscious. Even without a physical brain, there is consciousness. Because we have a developed brain called, it's like a supercomputer, which processes things and through which we recognize the brain, the consciousness. But that doesn't mean that consciousness exists only when there is brain. Very simple to understand in nature. A tree doesn't have a brain. Every cell of it has intelligence. It doesn't have a special structure called the brain. When there is no water, the roots go looking for water. There is no brain. Separate organ, no. When there is no sunlight, the branches go looking for sunlight. So it's conscious, it's aware. It's conscious but not aware of itself. That's the only problem. Human beings are lucky that we can be aware of our consciousness, provided we move ourselves from the clutches of the stupid brain, which always interferes. Well, it is useful, of course, in day-to-day life. There's no question about that. What we have today is a frontal lobe civilization. So, when the mind or the brain, whatever you want to call it, is free of all agitation, of all opposition, of distraction, everything, then the brain, as the mind, ceases to exist. Then there is only consciousness, pure, without interference from the brain. So that means I'm saying that consciousness can exist without the brain. It may be controversial, but true. It's our understanding, so I can't say no. Now, so Chit is conscious, it's conscious. And Ananda, its intrinsic nature is bliss, is joy, seeking which we do all the circuses that we do. While it's there when everything is quiet. This joy, therefore, is called Ananda, which means happiness. Not the ordinary little Ananda, which is okay. You look at the snow and it's very nice, beautiful. You have the joy, right? But it's temporary. Snow is going to go off. but the joy which is everlasting, always. So therefore, the theory is that from the joy that is there, which is the fountainhead of joy in the core of our being, all the joys of the world are small manifestations of that. And since we are accustomed to that, we feel that if we don't experience it outside, it is not there. No. When it is quiet, it's in its own self, full of joy. So the Vedantin is not seeking nothing, he's seeking something which is not a thing. Not nothing, but no thing. So this is what... so you see, for the Upanishads, you need somebody to explain a little bit. But not explain to the limit of saying, well, if I am not there, you will not find it. No, sorry. The finding has to be done individually by each person. It cannot be given in a platter. Now comes the part. Now Nachiketas has, Yama has explained everything to Nachiketas in a fairly deep and largely theoretical way, looking at it. So the Nachiketas' natural question which arises, okay, you've described all this. When I sit down, I don't see all that. I see the world. I enjoy the senses. I don't see what you have said just now, that which is deep within, in full of bliss and so on. So the natural question is there some way to touch it? Or is there no way at all? On one hand, the Upanishad says there is no way. The other way, it says that there might be a hint by which you could touch it. So therefore, the next part is from the totally abstract to the concrete, kind of concrete, semi-concrete, semi-concrete. So Yama says to Nachiketa, that word which all Vedas declare, word, sound, that sound, which all Vedas declare, which all the austerities proclaim, for which people do tapasya, austerities, desiring which people live the life of a religious student. Word used here is brahmacharyam, charanti. Yat icchanto brahmacharyam charanti, wishing which one leads the life of a brahmachari. Now what is this brahmacharya? All the ways and means by which one leads a kind of life that is conducive to understanding the truth. This is brahmacharya. Now it doesn't mean merely what am I called, a bachelor. There are many people who are not married, but they are not brahmacharyas. It doesn't mean that. It means someone who is intent on the truth, which is the Brahman. Of course, many of those brahmacharyas lived alone to practice, because living with somebody else is in some way a distraction, especially if that person thinks in a different way. So therefore, now the thing is, in ancient times, life was divided into four sections. First part, when you're young, is brahmacharya, which means then you're not married, you don't have anybody to share anything, you're alone. That's the time when the brain and the mind is bright and you want to study things. That's when you have all your energies intact. It has not been wasted in any way. This period is called the life of a student, brahmacharya. So, you have full attention to what you're studying. You don't have to worry about anything else. Those days there were universities where you could go and learn and stay there for some time. Understand. After brahmacharya, one person or half a person might become a renunciant, give up everything and say, no, I'm not interested in it. Very small minority. Rest go through the next stage of life, which is called grihastha, family life. Now, when a person who has lived the life of a religious student, like a brahmachari, enters into the life of worldly life of marriage and children and so on, is already nicely conditioned, nicely prepared to face it. So he doesn't get lost. But he has his own discipline and all that. The married life also happens because, marriage, unless you want to become a renunciant, a sannyasi or a monk, is one of the best treatment for the ego. Seriously. And nothing better than that. Yeah. Your wife is your best teacher and vice versa. To cut the ego, So they enter the grihastha life. Because they've lived the life of brahmachari, they have studied a lot, they know how to deal with the mind, they also don't miss their meditation and whatever they do, but they also do their livelihood and carry on with life. And then the children have grown up, you have done what you can. Now it's time to say vanaprastha. Now I'm going to lead a life of solitude. Sometimes if you look in ancient times, you see the rishi going into the forest to lead a vanaprastha life, and sometimes the wife, who is also ready for it, goes with him. Unless the rishi goes without telling her quietly. So, this is the life of vanaprastha, and then one studies and understands the truth, and if necessary, you can become a monk. Discard everything and lead a quiet life. So these are the 4 stages. And it's very difficult to jump from brahmacharya straight into sannyas. It's fraught with danger. Many people do it sometimes and then they suffer because they can't come back. What would society say if I suddenly discard my robes? Right? So that's a decision to be taken very carefully, but not required. You will not find a single monk or a sannyasin in any of the Upanishads, which are the most earliest and deepest work on the subject of understanding oneself. Not a single one. All the rishis. You might even find a rishi who has 2 wives, like the great sage Yajnavalkya, who is celebrated as the guru of Janaka, the great king. He had 2. So when he's going to the forest, one says, I'm not coming with you. The other, Maitri, says, but why are you going? I'll also come with you. Teach me. Let me know. You're not fine. But it doesn't mean that you should get married or not get married. That's not what I'm saying. The reasons. So why did I come to this subject? Anybody? No. Oh, yes. Yes. From the sloka. So, Yama said to Nachiketas, that word or sound, which all the Vedas declare, which all the austerities proclaim, desiring which, people live the life of a brahmachari, a religious student. That word, I will tell you in brief, and that sound is very simple. Om iti etat. That sound is Om. Now, Om, therefore, is the link between this and that. Is the unknown made semi-known so that you can hold on to it and go to that which is unknown. It is the juncture between the unknown and the known. It's a bridge that takes one across from here till there. And this syllable is verily etadhi evaksharam brahma. This syllable itself, this sound itself, is an embodiment of the Supreme Brahman, the everlasting Spirit. This is the highest end. Knowing this very syllable, whatever anyone desires will indeed be his. So, ladies, don't worry about it. His, only men. No, it's just a way of expression. This support is the best of all. This support is the highest. Knowing this support, one becomes great in the world of Brahman. Etadhi evaksharam brahma. Etadhi evaksharam param. Etadhi evaksharam jnatva. Yo yad ichchati tasya tat. Etad alambanam shreshtam. Etad alambanam param. Etad alambanam jnatva. Brahmaloke mahiyate. Repeat. This syllable is verily the everlasting Spirit. This syllable indeed is the highest end. Knowing this very syllable, whatever anyone desires happens. This support is the best of all. This support is the highest. Knowing this support, one becomes great in the world of Brahman. So from describing everything, now we have come down to something concrete that you can hold on to go to that which is not concrete, which is even beyond the world of ideas. And that is the sound Om. So, is there a way of doing it? Not described. It's reserved to be taught by a teacher to a student. In fact, in ancient times, they gave this missile to very rare people. So suddenly they might press the button and bang, Ukraine gone. Which is why the life of a student is important. A life of a brahmachari, where you also learn not to cause harm to others. Because you'll be handed with a weapon, with a technique that hits straight to the center of everything. It's not a joke, it's a... So, what is this? Is that a way of meditation by which the Om can be used? It appears so in the Upanishad. If you ask me, is there a kind of meditation where Om is used? I would say yes. It's called Pranava Upasana. Balbir Singh ji's dal is making me burp. So, sorry. How does one do it? Pranava sadhana. Now, the pure Vedantin who thinks that by negating everything, by saying not this, not this, not this, until you reach the truth, which is, most of them do not believe in any other kind of asana, pranayama and so on. But pranava sadhana is very important. Chanting of Om, everybody does. No, since I'm here, so we are face to face, is there a way of chanting Om? Yes. What I have been taught as Om, which takes you beyond, which cleans the mind, which settles your mind down, which removes all the obstacles of the mind, which takes away all the conflicts of the mind, which clears all distractions from the mind. It's possible if you chant Om, but please keep in mind, do not have any ill will towards anybody when you chant Om. Then it could boomerang. Be good. Always pray. May everybody be happy. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. May the whole world be happy. And then do your Om. Even if you hate somebody, say that this is also Brahman's manifestation, or Buddha. And then do your Om. Because it's true, it's potent and it's powerful. So how do we do Om and how do we listen to it? There are two kinds of Om. One is A, O and Ma. Om. The other is Om. Now for going deep within and understanding the self, the second one is more important than the first. So put a big O and a small M and make Om. Listen to it as you chant. Take a deep breath, start. Om. Can we do it? Close your eyes, fix your attention here or here, and just chant Om. You don't even fix your attention. Hear the sound as you chant and allow it to settle down. Shall we? It's quiet. Yogi. So said Yama to Nachiketa. So, then there is a description of the eternal self, which is your true essence, and which begins to manifest in your mind as you continue to do your pranava sadhana. The description is the knowing self, the knower, the witness, is never born. It's not as if it exists because there is a body. It only manifests through the brain. Actually, it's never born. Na jayate mriyate na vipaschin. The knowing self, your own self, true self, not the self created by the mind, the witnessing self, is never born. Therefore, it does not die. Something has to be born to die. It, they're using the expression here. He, I would say, it, that, sprang from nothing and nothing springs from it. It is unborn, eternal, abiding and primeval. It is not slain when the body is slain. And is smaller than the smallest, is greater than the greatest. That self, anoraniyan mahato mahiyan atmasya janor nihito guhayam. That self which is smaller than the small, yourself, when it is separated from the you which you think you are, which is the mind, smaller than the small, greater than the great, the self is set in the heart of every creature. The unstriving man, normally it should be the striving man, striving yogi, says the unstriving yogi beholds him freed from sorrow through the tranquility of mind and the senses. One sees the greatness of the self. Now a little bit explanation is needed on what is meant by the unstriving, because we think we have to do tapasya, we have to do meditation. Yes. The thing is, when you understand that it's only when the mind is still and quiet and not trying to do anything at all that the self manifests itself. That's the meaning of saying the unstriving yogi. He strives to be a yogi and then realizes that the mind need not strive but has to settle down. Otherwise you'll be confused when you read this chapter. Then unstriving means, oh, the Supreme Self is there everywhere, so I sleep. Or I go on a Sunday, have a beer. That's all expansive and nice. So, the unstriving means when you understand deeply that there is no need, instead of strive, settle down. When the mind is fully settled, then it sees that self which is smaller than the small, greater than the great. These are all words used to show that it's not a material object. If it's a material object, it is smaller than the small, it cannot be bigger than the biggest. It becomes a contradiction. So it's not a material object, it's something else. It's your inner self. In any case, the mind cannot see it. When the mind is completely quiet, it's wiped out, and then there is only the self. It's somewhat like this. I see you all here because I have my eyes. Right? Because I have my eyes, I see you all. I cannot see my own eyes. I mean, I can see it in the mirror, but that's a reflection. I cannot see my own eye. Right? But it's because I have an eye that I see the whole world. So I cannot deny the existence of the eye, even though I cannot see it myself. The self is somewhat in that. I don't know. Think about it this way. It sees everything And therefore, the mind cannot see it because the mind functions because of the self. And manasana manyute ena hurmanomata, another Upanishad. That which the mind cannot conceive of, but because of which the mind has the capacity to conceive. That alone is the truth. In fact, the Upanishad goes a little extreme, the other one, and says nothing that you worship here. Nedam yad idam upasate. Sounds like Krishnamurti. Nedam yad idam upasate. Well, it is from the Keno Upanishad. We will deal with that later, but the whole sloka is Yan manasana manyate yana vrumano matam, that which the mind cannot conceive, but because of which the mind got the capacity to think. Tadeva brahmam tvam vidvi, that alone is the Brahman you understand, O student. Nedam yad idam upasate, nothing that you worship. A rather serious statement. Definitely not the ego that you worship, at least. So, smaller than this. Now, if it is so, how do we touch that? Through pranava, to Om, to the sound of Om. Now, since we are in an electronic age, I would say also that even if you don't want to chant Om, you chant your Om nicely with a phone, record it, and put your earphones and sit down quietly and listen to it. So you don't even have to give effort to chant. Om, chant, record, put it in your ears, listen. But if you have a grating voice, better listen to somebody. You might turn into a frog. Oh. Smaller than the smallest, greater than the greatest. The self is set in the heart of every creature. That's a relief. The unstriving one beholds him freed from sorrow. Through tranquility of mind and the senses, one sees the greatness of the self. Now, the Upanishad again gets into the exercises of trying to describe the indescribable. Asino duram rajati. Sitting, he moves far. Shayano yati sarvata. Lying down, he goes everywhere. I mean, human beings, normal things can't do this. Normally, either you lie down or you move forward, right? Either you sit here or you go there. Describing the Supreme Brahman, the inner self, the Upanishad says, sitting, he moves far. Lying down, he goes everywhere. Who save myself is fit to know that God who rejoices and yet rejoices not. Poetic heights of poetry here. Asino duram rajati shayano yati sarvata kastam madamadam devam mat anyo jnatum arhati. How am I going to explain this to you? I know it, but how do I tell you this? That somebody is sitting and not moving, and somebody lying down and yet is going. Knowing that self, who was described, who is the bodyless among the bodies, stable among the unstable, the great, the all-pervading. Knowing this, the wise do not grieve. Knowing the self, which is bodiless, which means even if the body is gone, it's still there. Stable among the unstable. Everything is unstable, but it is stable. Lying down, it is moving. The great, the all-pervading, which is everywhere. The wise, knowing this, do not grieve. What is there to grieve about? Believe me, this is about your own essence, you. Not somebody else from outside. Now here is something very serious, the next sloka. Very, very serious. You might read this and go home and say enough. All the talks and that's going on of no use. This self, Nayam Atma, pravachanena labhyo. This Atman cannot be attained by instruction. So all pravachanas are useless, including this. This Atman cannot be attained through pravachana. Pravachana means instruction. Nor na medhaya, nor by intellectual power, in which case all the great scientists would have already found the self. Not even through much hearing. In Sanskrit it sounds very nice. Nayam atma pravachanena labhyo, na medhaya, na bahuna shrutena. Even by listening so much, one may not find this self. May not. Didn't say not, may not find this self. Critical sentence next. Yame vaishya vrinute tena labhyas tasyaisa atma vivrinute tanum swam. He is to be attained only by the one who the self chooses. To such a one, the self reveals its own nature. So what is the point? The point is, if this is not read out, then you didn't know this. That's the point. That's the point. Now I want to, in this matter, about instruction and so on, intellectual power, much hearing. There is another Upanishad called the Mundaka, not Mandukya, Mundaka. I want us, you and I, to travel into that for a while. The beginning of the Mundaka. The problem is that I have to search for it. It's the problem of not preparing oneself. What do you prepare? Got it? Yes, got it. This is from the Atharva Veda. Starts with the Shanti mantra. Om Bhadram Karne Vishrunayama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Kshirbhyat Chatraha, and so on. Doesn't matter. May my limbs be strong. May my mind become strong. Things like that. May I see all that is auspicious. So this is Mundaka. I only said Upanishad, I didn't say which Upanishad, right? So we can crisscross. Yeah, it's like a golf course with only 9 holes. And you want to play 18 holes, you crisscross. So, the tradition of Brahma knowledge, tradition of the supreme knowledge in the Upanishad. Brahma, the manifestation of creation, rose from that which is unknown among the gods. Universe was manifested. He taught the knowledge of Brahman, of the Supreme Being, from which is his source, from where he has come. So the Creator is not the Supreme Brahman. Creation is a manifestation of the Supreme Brahman. The source is the Supreme Brahman. The Creator is merely a function that's happening. So this manifestation of creation, which is the first among the created, he taught the knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, which is the subject matter of the Upanishad, the foundation of all knowledge, to somebody called Atharvan, who was his eldest son. Vishvaya Atharva Veda, Atharvan. Now this knowledge of the Supreme Reality, the Brahman, which Brahma taught to Atharvan, Atharvan in ancient times taught it to somebody called Angirasa. Angirasa in turn taught it to Satyavaha, who was the son of Bharadwaja. You don't have to remember all this. It's a narrative. And the son of Bharadwaja taught it to another Angirasa, the second. What did he teach him? The higher and the lower knowledge. Which means already the Upanishad here is saying that there is a higher knowledge and a lower knowledge. So from Brahma to Atharvan, Atharvan to Satyavaha, Satyavaha to Bharadwaja, Bharadwaja to Angirasa. Both the higher and the lower. 2 kinds of knowledge. Saunaka Havai Mahashalo. Saunaka, the great householder. Now what? This Upanishad is being taught afterwards by a householder, not a monk. So Saunaka, the great householder, great meaning one with good qualities, sterling qualities, duly approached Angirasa. So Saunaka, the great householder, duly approached Angirasa and asked him this question. Through what being known, sir, venerable sir, does all this become known? Is there something which when known, everything becomes known? All there is becomes known. Saunaka asked Angirasa. Angirasa said to him, Tasmai Saho Vacha, he told him, there are 2 kinds of knowledge to be known. As the knowers of the Brahman declare, all this is Shruti, okay? As the knowers of the Brahman declare, the higher and the lower. 2 kinds of knowledge. Okay? So, Saunaka says, now, so tell me, what is the higher and the lower knowledge? You said there are 2 kinds of knowledge. First tell me what is lower knowledge, so that I'll avoid it and go for that which is higher knowledge. So give me a list of lower knowledge. Now here you'll be shocked, especially the Orthodox in India. Here is the list of lower knowledge. Tat apara vidya. Starts like this, the lower knowledge. Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, phonetics, ritual, grammar, etymology, metrics and astronomy. So now his mind is confused. So what is higher knowledge? What is higher knowledge? You put everything in one bracket, including Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and so on. So what is higher knowledge? Says Angirasa. Atha parayaya tat aksharam magigamyate. That is the higher knowledge by which the undecaying supreme reality is apprehended. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't read all this? Because it is lower knowledge. But then if you didn't read it, how would you know it is written this way? So it's not that you should throw away the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda. Upanishad also comes from these Vedas. It means even if you know all this, even if you know Rig Veda by heart, Samaveda by heart, you know everything, you know the Upanishads by heart. But if it doesn't take you to the truth, it is lower knowledge. Not that you should not read. You should, otherwise you wouldn't know that there is a statement like this. Even if you know all this, if the intention is not to attain the supreme, ungraspable, undecaying Brahman, it still is lower knowledge. On the other hand, if you don't know all this and still you have that one-pointed attention, still it's possible to touch the truth. This is what it means. Because you will find in some cases of religious geniuses like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who did not know any of the Vedas. His disciple, Swami Vivekananda, is well known, who knew the Vedas and Sanskrit and so on, but he didn't know anything. He could hardly read or write. He could barely sign his name. But then that's rare. Once in a million, a being like that happens, not always. So we cannot imitate that. At the same time, we shouldn't read all this and say that I know everything, so I found the truth. No. Unless the truth is found, this still remains lower knowledge. I won't go into this now. Go back to our Upanishad. Now I pull this out and I'll search for it. Please don't go towards the truth. You'll become like this. Where is my Katha Upanishad? Yeah. So, where did we stop? Nayam atma pravachanena labhya. This self cannot be attained by instruction, nor by intellectual power, nor through much hearing too. He is to be attained only by one whom the self chooses. To such a one, the self reveals its own nature. So now it is futile, right? Who knows if the self has chosen us? So the next sloka follows, 24. It shows what one has to do to be chosen by the self. What does one have to do to be chosen by the self? To reveal itself. Not he who has not desisted from evil ways, not he who is not tranquil, not he who has not a concentrated mind, not even he whose mind is not composed, will the self choose. So what is the first thing to do, even if you want the self to choose you, to find the truth? Desist from evil ways. Try to develop tranquility. Try to develop a one-pointed mind. Sadhana. Compose your mind. Don't let it scatter. Then the self chooses you and you reach the right knowledge. Now, when you keep this in mind, even when you touch something, you don't have the arrogance of saying, I found it, because the self has found you. I want to tell you a little story. I've said this many times, but bear with me if it's a repetition. I see many familiar faces. I see them in Switzerland, I see them in Blackmore, I see them in Graham. So you might have heard this before, but please bear with me. Important. You might have heard but not understood. That's also there. Okay. Imagine my own constructed story. Okay. But whenever I did something like this, I always asked Maheswarnath Babaji, do you think this is going to work? He says, yes, I think it might work for fools like you. So I said, fine, thank you very much. So here is the story. So think of a transparent box made of plastic or whatever, glass, okay. You have to avoid plastics nowadays, so glass. So we have a rectangular box, which doesn't have a lid. It has a bottom, but it doesn't have a lid. And it is divided in the middle with another transparent wall. So from here you can see that side, and from that side you can see here. Now in this side, there are these tiny wafer-thin red people. They're so thin, they're round, not people, things, alive. They're wafer-thin. They don't even have an idea of height or breadth or anything. They only know 2 dimensions. We also know only few. 2 dimensions. Red in color. Also, among them, there are some green wafer-like objects. Same, they also can move only this way, that way. They don't know, they don't even have a concept of this or this. They're moving. Why are they moving? Because they can see from the transparent barrier that in this side it's a heavenly place, beautiful place. A couple of green and red ones have reached there and they are enjoying. The virgins of heaven are giving them wine. Sorry. Sometimes think of Salman Reddy, you get frightened. So, few of them here. There are more here. Those ones are not moving. They are happily lying on cushions, enjoying whatever, beer or what. These guys are always roaming because, they want to go that side. So they can see how nice, it's an oasis. They want to go there, but there is a barrier, transparent. They can't go, and they don't know how to go because they can only move this way, this way, this way. So they go hit the wall every now and then, but still can't penetrate, and they are in sorrow, in pain, in grief. But they can't. They don't know there is another dimension. Right? One of them, or 2 of them, let's say, gets fed up of this and realizes that this is no way to go to the other side. However much I have no concept of any other dimension. So all this constant breaking my head against the wall barrier is of no use. 1 or 2 have realized after constantly hurting themselves. So these 2 guys go therefore and rest in one corner. It's enough. There's nothing we can do. and I'm standing looking at the box. I very much want to put these guys on the other side. Okay? Suppose, imagine I'm the self, supreme self. Suppose. I want this poor suffering guys, I want to put them there, but I can't because the moment I go to catch it, they're moving. Then I see in a corner there are one or two. So I pick them and put them on the other side. There, and these guys are wondering, how did they go there? So when the Upanishad talks of effortlessness, this is what it means. Figuring out that no amount of agitation, running around, jumping around, standing on your head and chanting Sri Vidya and all is good. Keep quiet, tranquil, and you're transferred. It's not the actual act, it's the mind. So, even though it's not attainable through pravachanas, sometimes you have to listen to pravachanas where you hear about this. And then you realize, yes, this is of no use. Then think about otherwise. I'm trying my best. Same process. Yeah. So, the self chooses one who has desisted from evil ways, he who is tranquil, he who has a concentrated mind, whose mind is composed. Such a one, the self is always on the lookout to choose. So all your training, practice, meditation, everything is to bring about this. After that, it's not in your hands. You have to let go. Tena tyaktena punjita, let go and rejoice. I have one example from the Zen archery, which I will explain tomorrow when you come fresh. Now I'll clean my arrows and keep it ready. So I think we should wind up too much of a dose, and also it's cold. Thank you. I'm just letting you go just 5 minutes before time, okay? Not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes.